Hey y'all, it's Michael, and I'm here to talk about two short story collections that I just recently finished. Both of these short story collections, I just randomly found them at my library. In my library, they tag the spine. When it's the short story collection, it has this little sticker that says short stories. The first one is The Owl and Other Stories by John Auerbach, obviously in the A's. There's not that much there's not a lot of articles and like extensive information on John Auerbach. He is mainly known for, I'm going to talk about it, but he's mainly known for his one short story. His most popular one is called The Owl, obviously the name of the short story collection. And he lived in I believe it was Warsaw, and he is Jewish. Unfortunately, he passed away as his works were getting translated into English. He only has two short story collections previously out. The thing I enjoyed most about this short story collection is definitely his writing. It has this sense of loneliness because majority of all of his short stories. This is one of the short story collections where it has sort of a theme because a lot of the short stories are actually semi-autobiographical of Auerbach and his life during his time when he was a mariner, seaman. Basically, he was in the Navy, he was in the ocean a lot. So a lot of these short stories that is in this short story collection are basic. A lot of them deal with like ocean and the water and being a sailor, which I really enjoyed. And he projects it really well in the sense that you really, as a reader, for me anyways, I felt that I was like in the ocean. Especially there are parts where it's like about talking about like sailor life. I did have to look up some of the words because he uses some Jewish words and also like words that I'm not familiar with in regarding to like boats. Okay, the first story I want to talk about is obviously The Owl. This is his most famous short story, and I'm glad that the collection starts off with this because it really shows his style. This is about an owl that these sailors see while they're on the boat during an eruption of a volcano. Like, it's a short eruption, it's not like Pompeii's grandiose style. And we see what happens to this owl as these sailors narrate what's going on. It's really interesting. The thing though with this is I understand why this would be his most popular one compared to all his other short stories, is because it has a lot of like allusions and it has a lot of literary connections to other works. I did get some of them. The other ones, they just flew over my head. But I really like that this is a good introduction to his works. The other one, the one next after The Owl, this is called The Black Madonna. It's about obviously a sailor, and there's like the captain, like the chief mate. Like I said again, I had to look up some of these words because I'm like, "Oh, who is who in relationship to who?" Because unfortunately, I don't know that much about being a sailor life. They stop at this town and they meet this woman, and then it goes from there. And here's the thing, as I'm gonna say, a lot of these short stories are, they feel they're, while they have this place of like being in the ocean, being a sailor, all of that, each of the short stories were slightly different in regards to like how he progresses the short story. It's really interesting because the last short story on here, he kind of writes a letter about his life, and it's actually really interesting. It's like semi-fictional, like letter. It's like it's called Reflections, and it's really about him reflecting. The next one is The People in the Castle Selected Strange Stories by Joanne Eichen. This was actually not that bad. The thing with this short story collection, it really does have this cohesiveness of strange and weird and fantastical about them. The thing though is there's a lot. There's a lot of short stories in this collection, all of this, and I usually put a star on the short stories that I really enjoy, and I didn't give as many stars as compared to like the amount of short stories within the collection. There are some great, like, memorable, fantastical, great stories, and then there's some that was just like, okay, let's talk about some of them. One of my personal favorites was called A Portable Elephant. This was so bizarre. We follow this character, Miles, who has to enter the forest, but he has to get a passport. But the passport involves an animal or like a pet. So he finds, I'm not making this. He finds this, he finds an elephant. He meets this other character who's like burning words. And what I really enjoyed about this is it's a really good example of a lot of these short stories. A lot of them will have like double entendres and double meanings, and I really enjoy that. The other character in here is like burning words, and it symbolizes something. I'm not gonna give it. I don't want to talk about it too much, because these short stories are so short, and talking about it too much will give a lot away. Okay, this is one of my favorites too. It's called A Room Full of Leaves. This one is about a little boy who lives in this house who finds a magical, like this huge house with other family members who are not so nice, and he finds solace within one room where this tree prospers, and there's this side story because the other family members are so greedy, the house is gonna get taken over. I just really enjoyed it. It reminded me so much of like a children's book, like reading. It was like almost reading Narnia again for the first time, and I just really enjoyed it. Okay, this is probably my favorite. Like I put 2 stars on it. I thought this was fantastic. It's called Lob's Girl. This has a dog, so obviously I am going to like it. This is about a family who goes on a vacation, and they basically find a dog named Lob who has like an owner. The dog really attaches to the family, especially the girl Sandy in the family, and I just love this story because it reminds me so much of this connection that like humans and animals have, and it's like a special connection, and it's one of those things like obviously I have a dog, and it's one of those connections that's really hard to explain, like someone who you love and they love you back unconditionally, and it just reminded me so much of my relationship with my dog personally. And I'm not gonna lie, like the half of this, the ending part, oh, it was, I just really, that was one of my favorite. I just really enjoyed that short story. There's another one, this one called The Man Who Had Seen the Rope Trick. This was so, oh, it's about this Indian man who arrives at this hotel. I guess you could tell it a hotel, like, but like a rooming board situation. And the way that the story unfolds, I really liked it. I was like, oh yeah, it's like almost fable-ish like, and I really enjoyed it. Overall, I would recommend the short story collection. There were some that I really did enjoy. Unfortunately, some of them were just okay, and there were a lot of short story, and some of these were pretty long, but I thought it was pretty balanced out. The consistency of like all the short stories feeling really whimsical and really fairy tale like, I really didn't like that aspect, so I gave that 3 out of 5. So yeah, if you read any of those short story collections, let me know what you think about it. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.